Guys, deluded, I'm back again. Greetings, peace, and positivity to all of you, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're currently doing, man. Hope you're doing something that you want to do and you're advancing your life in the way you deem possible. But yeah, World Cup's on, greatest sporting event in the world for me, biggest and all them things. We know it's a chance to see players. Specifically, if you're an Arsenal fan, you've been dying to see Torreira start, so you can see him over 90 minutes with your own eyes. I know I have, and a lot of other people have had the chance to watch him in Italy and things. But we're not watching Italian football religiously like that. It's the World Cup. You can't judge man based on 3 games minimum, plus if they advance. But you want to see the players and kind of let your imagination run wild into how they'll fit into the team and them things. Not just Arsenal, United. If Fred ever comes off the bench and gets through his injury problems, they got their man there, and all of these sort of things in it. So Torreira got 90 minutes or so against Russia for Uruguay, and he continued where he left off after coming on the bench. And I can't remember who they played, but the game before Russia, I'm sure he came off the bench and was positive. Didn't have enough time to make a substantial impact. It did look like Uruguay changed their team a bit. It looked like they went for a diamond. And what did you see? Torreira within that diamond, sitting in front of the back four specifically in the two centre halves, back four, protecting them, always in the right position, tactically extremely disciplined, always there. Even helped out his left back cover that space, and he helped out the right back. He was always there to make an interception or cover the space, or if Russia had an opportunity that he couldn't prevent, he was one of them trying to block it. Towards the end, I know a lot of these end of the game. I know a lot of these Twitter man and all these experts on social media are bringing up Paul Torreira's stats and then mentioning in the last minute how he made an important block. I mean, the man slipped there, but it's cool. I mean, people will, when he joins the Premier League, I mean, he's going to need an adapting period because he's a good player, but you need to take time. People are going to question his height. Is he strong enough and things like that? He did exactly what we need. Someone that just sits there, that just does their job, played with maturity beyond his age. Like I said, just sat there, remained disciplined, done what was clearly the instructions of the coach, break down play, regain possession, and let Bentancur and Vicencio, I can't say his name, be the ones that do the creative stuff. Probably why we didn't see a bit more of Torreira's passing range, because it is decent, in my opinion. He covered a lot of ground, like I said. 34th minute, excellent block, a good block, and he earned a foul from it. He followed his runners, like I said, man. That's the main thing. What have we seen? Xhaka and Ramsey, two players I like, and all the other midfielders fall short of at Arsenal. They don't follow runners, especially away games, especially them runners from midfield that trouble us. We've seen it. Torreira follows runners. Again, he can't defend by himself, so we can't expect that a man just because he joins this, we're going to be better defensively. He needs a framework, like you saw with Uruguay in the diamond. He had freedom within the framework. There was many different roles with many different members of the team. Hopefully, Unai Emery is a bit more calculated than Wenger, and he is. He installs that because we can't expect Torreira to just come in and fix everything if it's complete anarchy on the pitch. He needs freedom within the framework. He needs a system that works. Like I said, he followed his runners, and I started waffling. I forgot to say that point. We've seen Ramsey and all these men fall short of not following their runners from midfield, and then obviously if you're running from midfield, what did Lampard make a career of? People, them late runs, scoring outside the area or getting into the box. We don't follow runners for them sort of things there, or wingers to put crosses in, which we've seen when we conceded cheap goals. He follows them. He can't do it alone, and the rest are gonna need to pull their weight, like I've said, man. But he's not allowing his fullbacks to get doubled up on by the opposition as well. That's a big help, man. 65th minute, he made another good block around the edge of Uruguay's area. It showed his good awareness. Obviously, 84th minute, I did think as he tired, his standards kind of dropped, but he was starting to go forward a bit more and things like that. He was one of the nearest men constantly to danger. And like I said, he was tactically disciplined. He was clearly told by his manager, that is your job, just sit in front and protect. And the others did their jobs expertly. It was a good insight into what could potentially happen at Arsenal if, like I said, not just Torreira, whether it's in a pivot in midfield or in a free, everybody knows their jobs and the fullbacks know their jobs. Because if everybody knows their jobs and everyone else is, we're going to remain more compact. Uruguay are better defensively than us. Arsenal, Torreira can't defend by himself. So yeah, obviously the position he is brings up interest to Xhaka. Xhaka signed a new deal. There was talk of whether he would feature as much. I'm going to call it now. I think he'll feature prominently and he'll be a trusted member, but I don't think he'll be as, and I don't know, I'm trying to pick the right word. Just in a sense that it kind of took Wenger a lot to take Xhaka out of the side when he was getting criticised or tired or what. And you can see what Xhaka brings. But And I do think Xhaka will play a lot because it allows immediately Torreira. I don't want to say freeze him up because we've seen that nonsense with Pogba, but it allows Xhaka to not. I don't want to say again not have to worry about defending because you need to, but do things that he's better at rather than being at the base when he's not that. So I do think they would work well together. Xhaka would still need to improve defensively. Like I said, all of the runners, whether it's in a pivot or midfield, would still need to help Torreira and whatnot. But Xhaka and Torreira, if they were in a pivot, just to flatter my own imagination, Torreira would be the deepest. That would allow Xhaka to pick the ball up higher off the field. Maybe time his runs when to come deeper to pick the ball up and show his expert passing range. So it is decent. Like I said, man, tactically disciplined is the key thing, and whether that it's not going to be like that at Arsenal if we go on the last season. Hopefully, Uno Emery brings them things in. But he had 56 passes, 77 touches. He covered around 10k kilometers covered on the pitch. He made a lot of interceptions, a decent amount. He played ultimately with maturity. And yeah, man, there was a point he made an interception towards the end of the game, and I thought he was injured if he had a dead leg or anything like that. He won a lot of duels. I even saw him win it in the air. Now, his weakness immediately in midfield is winning it in the air. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. We all have shortcomings. He's like 5'6". Like, he's never going to beat someone 6'6" to headers consistently. So, we need to take the rough with the smooth in that regard. So, yeah, what else did I have? Yeah, and another thing that gives insight, not really insight, but it shows how Uruguay were trying to move. It says we had rehearsed. This is some poor termination translation thing. I don't know why it says this, but it says we rehearsed, and then in brackets, me in practice. The coach asked me to try to help the defenders because they could why is it people, I've butchered this, man. It's not even printed off basically, but basically I think a man said, let me try this again. We rehearsed me starting in training. The coach asked me to help the defense because the way they play, they could play with more freedom and create more balance, and at times it could complicate our play. I mean, yeah, that shows you a manager that's given people many different jobs, because within one football team there's a sub team. You've got the manager who manages the immediate 11 aside. Within that team split up into three sub teams, like I call it. You've got the centre halves and the fullbacks. You've got the midfielders and you've got the strikers. In fact, you could even say four because the fullbacks are a bit of a hybrid. They're wingers essentially. But you've got to organise the defence, you've got to organise the midfield between yourselves and up front. And you've also defence is the striker is the first defender. Look at it that way. The striker is the first defender, people. The defender is the first attacker. Why? Because if you get the ball off the keeper, again, I'm not big on ball play. I'm big on ball playing, but I think it's overrated in the sense that people are not looking at if a centre half can defend first and foremost. Your centre half's your first attacker. Look at Pep Guardiola, how central the keeper and the centre halves are to start in their phases of play. The attacker is your first defender. Why? Because you press from the front. Attack is the best form of defense if you want to go that way as well. So yeah, you get to see what happens when a manager gives people jobs in it and moves for the collective. Arsenal, we were all on this freedom thing where everybody runs around and stuff. Interestingly enough, though, he showed he can do the defensive mid, a bit of deep lying, a bit of playmaking. I don't think he showed his passing range as much because that wasn't his role for the game. And I do think at Arsenal, he'd probably have to get forward a slightly bit more in terms of phases of play and things like that. But yeah, man, it was a promising game, to be fair. And just want him to finally officially be announced as an Arsenal player, to be fair. Guys, deluded, get in the comments, subscribe and do the rest. I'm out.